Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Carl had a look of helplessness as well. He could only give himself a facepalm at that moment and think about how he was going to report this development to Zane's organization. Unbeknownst to them, Zane was at the main base when his phone suddenly vibrated. He was having a drink of water, and when he grabbed hold of his phone, he was left stunned, whereupon he spat out whatever was in his mouth. The sixth-generation owner of the fire crest. Nicole Riddle? He asked, as the Rebbe family crest was a legend that Zane had heard of when he was younger. He had never thought that he would ever receive a news of this sort until he was old enough to have children and grandchildren of his own. Moreover, he did not expect to receive news about the owner of the Rebbe family crests today, for it was something that had not happened in the past 100 years. Those who possess the Rebbe family crest has the authority to enlist all of the families who had joined the alliance during the Holy War that had transpired hundreds of years ago. Now that these families have all become ancient families, all of them are descendants of those who used to be around. If the owner does make an appearance, all of the families will need to obey them without question. It's like how all of the people had to gather their might for the commander of the Rebbe family during the Holy War, Zane thought. However, what shocked Zane even more was that the name of the crest's owner was none other than Nicole Riddle. Could it be someone who shares her first and last name? He wondered. However, his eye inexplicably twitched, as he had a bad feeling about this. He could not help but look at the location from which the message was sent. Lanningborg? Isn't that the place where Carl is carrying his mission out? Zane pondered. It was then that he felt his heart clench. But Nicole shouldn't be there, he thought again. With this in mind, he dialed Carl's number. Concurrently, Carl was in the midst of thinking of a way to explain everything that had happened to Zane, and hence, when his phone bird, he jumped. He shot his phone a glance, his face brimming with guilt. As expected, it was a call from Zane. Carl's face blanched at an instant. Nicole. Uncle Zane. Nicole looked at him, mildly shocked. Uncle Zane got the news so quickly? Could he? She thought. Upon noticing Carl's expression of fear and cowardice, she snatched the phone from him. Hello, Uncle Zane? The moment Zane heard Nicole's voice, he dropped his cup onto the ground, and it shattered into many pieces. Not having the time to worry about the cup, he roared, Nicole. Why are you in Lanningborg? That girl, Nicole. Is she actually in Lanningborg? Does this mean that she's very likely the person who possesses the crest? He thought. Nicole moved the phone further away after Zane had bellowed at her, and in the calmest way she could, she replied, You've received the news very quickly. Are the antecedents of the Zane's organization related to the Rebbe family? Zane instantly choked upon hearing her astute question. One haven't even asked her about what she had done, and she is already turning things around. He thought. In response, Zane suppressed his anger and said, Depart home immediately. I need you to explain things clearly to me in person. I need to know exactly what had happened. With a tone of resignation, Nicole replied, All right. Coincidentally, I also have something I need to ask you. Zane grew even more furious with each passing second. He was livid, but as Nicole had made it a point to calm him down, he had nowhere to unleash it. We'll talk when you're back, he roared. Then, he hung up on her. Carl looked at Nicole fearfully. What happened? Was Uncle Zane furious? Nicole threw the phone back at Carl. He's all right, but he did tell us to return home at once. Carl blanched again. All right? We're definitely going to be yelled at when we get back, aren't we? However, Nicole had a look about her that indicated that there was no denying the fact that he was right. Those affiliated to the crest notified were all scions of the families that had lingered for hundreds of years. Uncle Zane's identity has always been the subject of mystery. Even Carl and I have never asked him about it before. However, Uncle Zane was actually included in the list of families affiliated to the Rebbe family crest. As he was able to receive the notification pertaining to the ownership of the crest, he must be one of the legitimate scions of one of these ancient families. He will know far more about the origins of the crest as compared to the rest of us, and that's why I'll definitely need to return at once and get things straight with Uncle Zane in person. But Jared, now that the crisis has been averted for the time being, I really wish to go home and see him, Nicole thought. Previously, Nicole did not have the courage to contact Jared because she was worried that she would rope him into this whole mess. Since Uncle Zane has issued an order, make the appropriate arrangements. We'll return to the headquarters in the afternoon, she said. The instant Zeke heard that Nicole was leaving, he felt uneasy. Nicole, if you leave, what's going to happen to me? Will those people remain on my side once she has left? Zeke wondered. Your father is in good hands. I'll get you on a plane back home before I leave in the afternoon, she said. You need to remember, even if your grandfather manages to come up with an excuse, the higher-ups might still request to check on your father's condition. We'll stall them for another day or two. Any longer than that, and they'll start getting suspicious. Zeke immediately nodded. Nicole does pay great attention to the smallest of details, he thought. Nicole thought for a moment before grabbing the watch. She then got the crest and transferred it into her watch's system, installing it. Then, she typed a few words in. Zeke could not help but give it a glance, and that was when he saw the first mission that Nicole had issued. Spare no effort in ensuring the safety of the Guzman family. Zeke felt his heart getting heavy, for Nicole's first mission after receiving the crest was to protect the Guzman family. This time around, he could not help but feel at ease. He looked at Nicole with a gaze brimming with gratitude. Thank you, Nicole. You're welcome, she replied. I must also thank you for this valuable gift. While it was an object that would invite untold trouble, she had to admit that it might be something useful to Zane's organization in the future. Zeke shook his head. You deserve it. The person who wears the crown must bear its weight, and as of now, only you can bear the crest's weight. Zeke was well aware of his own strength and capabilities, and that was why he decided that he was in no position to bear the responsibility. Nicole nodded and patted him in the shoulder. Regardless, this crest is still yours in some ways, so do let me know when anything happens, okay? Knowing that Nicole was not a selfish person, he nodded vigorously. Then, Nicole shot Zeke one last glance before leaving the ward with Carl. After that, Zeke walked up to Carlo, and in a low voice he said, Dad, I'll bring you home today. After Carl had left the ward, he went off to look for Olaf. He proceeded to explain that he needed to leave and that the Curly group would take over and handle the rest from here on out. Meanwhile, Nicole finally had the chance to get some rest. After having nursed the injuries that she had sustained, she laid down quietly. Nicole's mind was flooded with mental images of Jared. She could not help but grab her phone to see how he had recently been. However, she was also hesitant, as she feared that she would see Fiorella on the screen. Wait for me, Jared. I'll be back by your side soon, she thought. I didn't expect that as soon as I switched the camera on, I would be met with a face so unfamiliar. Darn it. It just seems that I can't keep it hidden anymore. At around this time, Fiorella was busy taking care of Jared in his ward. As Mr. Johnston Sr. walked in, he saw what she was doing, and was stunned by the sight in front of him. Mr. Johnston Sr. was puzzled. So that was why he hasn't been contacting me as of recent. I knew he had a girlfriend, which is why he doesn't come home often. Initially, Mr. Johnston Sr. had received some really bad news, and had been meaning to tell Jared about it, but much to his chagrin, Max had been dissuading him. Now, Mr. Johnston Sr. might be old, but he was vigilant enough to notice that something was wrong. And when he made it a point to find out, he discovered that Jared was injured and had been hospitalized for several days. How dare they keep it from me? This was why Mr. Johnston Sr. had rushed to the hospital to pay both Jared and Nicole a visit. However, what he did not expect was that a strange woman would be taking care of his grandson the moment he entered the door. Where's Nicole? Where is she? He asked, for he had something urgent to ask Nicole. Fiorella had met Mr. Johnston Sr. before at a certain banquet, and as such, she was overjoyed when she saw the elderly man strolling in through the door of the ward. However, she had not expected him to ask her about Nicole as soon as he walked in, and because of that, a sour look appeared on her face at once. I didn't know that Nicole is so significant to Mr. Johnston Sr. that he asked for her as soon as he barged in through those doors, she thought. Fiorella lifted her head while maintaining a smile on her face as she greeted, "Hello, Mr. Johnston Sr., I'm Fiorella Fisher." It was only then that it dawned upon Mr. Johnston Sr. that the person in front of him was somewhat familiar. The Fisher family. In the most recent years, they have become one of the biggest and most influential families in the United States. They've been catching up with us, especially the head of the Fisher family. He cherishes his one and only granddaughter, who is very well known in San Joto. She was one of those who were recommended to us when Jared was looking for a potential partner in marriage. But what puzzles me is that, how did they become so close? And why is Nicole not around to take care of him when he had an accident? Mr. Johnston Sr. thought curiously. "Miss Fisher, you're being too polite. I didn't expect you to have such a good relationship with my grandson." Mr. Johnston Sr. nodded and replied in a low voice. Fiorella knew that he was testing her, and thus, she thought long and hard before she took the opportunity to say, "Yes. I have known Jared for a long time now. He got himself hurt because of Nicole. No one is around to take care of him, so I came here." With that said, she had made it clear to Mr. Johnston Sr. that they had known each other for a long time. In addition, it was an opportunity for her to complain about Nicole for not being here for Jared during such a crucial period. Nicole, who was watching from the security camera, could not help but raise her eyebrows. One should not take this woman lightly. She actually had the nerve to disrupt my relationship with Mr. Johnston Sr. As Mr. Johnston Sr. walked in hurriedly in his search for Nicole, his actions confirmed Fiorella's inexplicable guess. Mr. Johnston ignored Fiorella's words as he knew Nicole had deep feelings for his grandson. He also knew that Nicole was a person of special significance, and so, her absence meant that she had important matters to attend to. So, is it possible that the news from this morning is true? Mr. Johnston Sr. thought to himself. He had mixed feelings, being somewhat relieved while feeling that things could get really complicated. It can't be happy too early or things will take a different turn. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. The person might just share Nicole's surname for all I know, Mr. Johnston Sr. thought, feeling a little uneasy about Nicole's absence. Get someone to check on Nicole's whereabouts right away, and see if she's in Lanningborg, he ordered. Nicole heard Mr. Johnston Sr.'s words clearly from the security cameras. He actually knew the coordinates in Lanningborg. Indeed, her suspicions were confirmed. The Johnston family were also one of the families affiliated to the Rebbe family crest, as well as the Holy Alliance. In fact, Mr. Johnston Sr. had obviously made his way here to find out more about this matter. It was then that Nicole looked at her watch and thought, "I can't help but wonder how many century-old families are affiliated to this crest, so much so that even the Johnston family are a part of the Holy Alliance. Does this mean that all of the century-old families in San Joto had received the news?" Nicole sighed, as she was worried that Jared's family would find out about this. On the other side of the camera, Mr. Johnston Sr. turned to look at Fiorella after having spoken to the housekeeper. "You've worked hard taking care of my grandson for the past few days. Now that I'm here, you can go home and get some rest," Mr. Johnston Sr. said to Fiorella in a polite tone of voice, though he was otherwise unemotional and collected. Fiorella could not help but feel that it was very insensitive of Mr. Johnston Sr. to ask her to leave, but she pretended as though she was sincere about her being here nonetheless. "I've been here talking to Jared, Mr. Johnston Sr. I don't want to leave him until I get to see him recover from his coma with my very own eyes." Mr. Johnston Sr. looked at her. "If things were the same as before, I would gladly treat her well, but now, Jared is together with Nicole, and their relationship is going well. As Jared had risked his life for Nicole and ended up the way he does, it goes to show how much he cherishes her." As Mr. Johnston Sr. understood them well, he did not want anyone to disrupt their relationship. "There is no need for you to stick around. Jared already has a fiancée. I don't want my future granddaughter-in-law to have any misunderstandings. It's best that you leave," Mr. Johnston Sr. whispered. Nicole, who was watching from the security camera, had heard Mr. Johnston Sr.'s words loud and clear. Her heart quivered, as she did not expect that Mr. Johnston Sr. would stand up for her. A surge of warmth filled her heart at that instant. Nicole did not tell Mr. Johnston Sr. about Jared's condition due to his health, but the more she thought about it, she realized that she should have done otherwise. I should have told Mr. Johnston Sr. about everything before I left so that I would not be so depressed over it. That fella Martin really knew how to stir the pot, she continued. Fiorella's expression froze. This old man is impossible to convince. He really does want to kick me out of here. As Fiorella felt uncomfortable with Mr. Johnston Sr. around, she could not muster courage to allow herself to stay there. Thus, she stood up and said, I see. In that case, I'll head home and get some rest. I'll leave Jared in your hands now. It seems to me that Jared is pretty important to her. Nicole observed, secretly unhappy, silently wishing that Fiorella would leave as soon as possible. It was then that Carl suddenly came over and called out for her. Nicole, are you busy? Olaf has something to discuss with you. Upon hearing this, Nicole immediately deactivated her phone and shot the door a glance. At around the same time, Fiorella was about to leave Jared's ward when she saw Jared's moving. Mr. Johnston Sr. Jared's eyes are moving. I'll call the doctor, she yelled. The heavens have helped me. I don't have to leave now. I must let Jared see me, so that I can let him know that it was me who had been taking care of him. He'll get to know that I am 1,000 times better than Nicole, who has ran off to God knows where, Fiorella thought happily. Mr. Johnston Sr. frowned, but he did not stop Fiorella from getting the doctor. I hope that Jared will wake up soon. I have important things I need to discuss with him, especially the news I've received this morning. In a dark room, the man in black was filled with rage, smashing all there was in the room. Unfortunately for him, the people in front of him who had promised to reclaim what he thought was his within 3 days, were all bound and gagged. The man who was in charge of the operation wanted to beg for mercy. However, with his mouth gagged, he could only look at the man in black in despair. Without the slightest hint of mercy, the man in black turned to his other subordinates and ordered, "Take them out and slaughter them. Crush them into bits and feed them to the dogs." A series of muffled sounds emanated from the 3 hostages. They were so frightened that they knelt over and wailed. However, their pleas were futile, as they were soon dragged out by the other men, who were getting ready to feed them to the dogs. The man in black was purple with rage. Glancing at the screen of his phone, he knew that he was at a total loss, and that he would never get to be who he used to be. It was then that his phone rang, and after a moment of hesitation, he answered the call. A moment of total silence ensued, as a sense of iciness emanated from the other end of the call. He knew at the other party was waiting for him to speak. After drawing a deep breath, he said, "I messed up this time, but don't worry. I will handle this matter professionally." "How are you going to deal with it?" the person on the other end of the call asked, their tone cold and calm. "Don't you know? If the owner of the crest dies, the system will restart and a new owner will take her place," the man in black said, his gaze darkening. "The new owner of the crest has already been recognized. Right now, everyone is protecting her. Do you think killing her will be easy? Why don't we just forget about our previous transaction?" the other party snorted coldly, their words brimming with sarcasm. The man in the face mask could not help but tighten his grip on his phone. "Don't worry. I will take care of this matter before sundown." The other party fell silent for a moment before replying, "I'll wait for you until sundown, just in time before another batch of goods arrives. If you're late, then don't blame me for being unmerciful." The man in the face mask grew nervous for a moment, but as he was afraid that his subordinates could sense his fear, he hung immediately. "It is hard to believe that this idiot actually has the guts to boss me around like this." He thought about how they first started out, where they promised each other that they would acquire the badge before obtaining the brave droids. He also thought about how they would dominate the world together, but now, with how sorry the state of affairs were, he began to ponder, why would I do the dirty work to get the badge and share in his glory? His expression darkened the more he thought about it. "Call everyone. Tonight, we will launch a full-on assault," he said to his subordinates. "Nothing matters anymore. As long as we're able to obtain the crest and the brave, I can rule the world." As he thought about it, he took his spare phone out and dialed a number. In the afternoon, the sun shone high and bright above them. Nicole's mood improved tremendously when she was sure that Fiorella would be leaving the ward. Once she had visited Mr. Spears, she would be able to return to San Giotto by tomorrow morning. At the private airport, Nicole was well at ease, watching as Carl's men ushered Zeke and Carlo into the chopper before getting 2 armed helicopters to escort them. "We'll see you back home," Zeke said, looking at Nicole before he boarded the plane. Zeke could not express the immense gratitude he had for her, so he saved those words for when they had all returned to San Giotto. Nicole nodded in response. "Okay. Take good care of your father. He's a strong and sturdy man. I am sure he will recover soon. Keep me posted if you come across anything." "Okay, I will." Zeke nodded, trusting Nicole's words. Nicole watched as Zeke boarded the plane before turning to look at Carlo. "You are too kind to this kid," Carlo said with a hint of jealousy in his tone. Nicole gave him a blank look. "He gave me a crest of much significance. As such, I must treat him well." Carlo could not argue with that, so he sighed before he continued, "The arrangements at the port have been made. Only a limited number of Braves are to be transported to the headquarters today. There are some difficulties. Let Olaf know that the sooner they could transfer the Braves, the better. And before I forget, tell them that the period within these 3 days would be the safest for them and their researchers to evacuate." Carl looked displeased as he said, "Actually, I don't think it's really necessary. We've solved this problem before. What else could happen? This is the manufacturing site of the Brave. Who would be stupid enough to come here and start a fight? Are they blind enough to do that?" Nicole looked at Carl with an expressionless look on her face. "You better not cause me any trouble." After saying that, she watched as Zeke's helicopter took off and flew away. Soon after, the helicopter that she was about to board came flying in from the distance. Nicole switched her phone off as she waited for the helicopter to arrive. As the helicopter drew closer, she began to feel that something awful was about to happen. As the helicopter was about to land, this gut feeling prompted Nicole to turn around and throw herself onto the ground, tackling Carl along the way. Before Carl could react, he was already pushed onto the ground by Nicole. It was only after he had rolled under the jeep beside him that he came to his senses and asked what just happened. The sound of a Gatling gun came buzzing in from the distance, its volley of bullets striking the hull of the jeep, which was soon riddled with holes all over the place. "What's going on?" Carl yelled, stunned as he wondered how a chopper that had been sent over by the headquarters could attack them. "The chopper is a decoy," Nicole growled, not having time to think. "I'll distract them. You better flee." "Nicole." Before Carl could get up, Nicole had already rushed ahead, sprinting her way toward the control tower as the machine gun sent a barrage of lead rounds in her general direction. Nicole dodged left and right, evading all of the bullets with little effort. The man on the helicopter grew anxious at the sight of this. "Move in closer." The pilot did as he was told and lowered the helicopter. While he was doing so, Nicole had successfully arrived at the door, whereupon she entered the control tower. Carl, on the other hand, had already rushed back into the building, shouting into the headset, "We are under attack. Get someone to shoot the chopper out of the sky at once." "Yes, sir." The airport was filled with Carl's men. As soon as he had given his order, he heard the anti-air cannon being heightened as it took aim at the helicopter. However, before they could fire at the helicopter, a missile came homing in from the pylon of the chopper, piercing the turret at once. A deafening blast ensued at the very next second, as the defenses they had mounted were destroyed just like that. This made Carl furious. "What are you doing? Retaliate at once. Use all of your weapons," he yelled. "Sir, the situation seems pretty bad. Look at the sky," one of his men shouted. Carl looked up, and it was at this moment that he spotted multiple other helicopters with blue rudders. A very familiar logo. Carl did not have time to think or waste, as he had already seen the helicopter hurtling toward the tower, gunning everyone in the vicinity down. None of them had the time nor the skill to dodge the bullets. Most of them were either dead, wounded, or cowering behind walls as they screamed. Nicole helplessly watched as all of them were mowed down by the machine guns, but as soon as she saw multiple armed individuals with sniper rifles taking position, she ran off again. At that point, they came to realize that Nicole was no longer in the control tower. The helicopter then prepared to land. Just as they were about to land, Nicole unexpectedly rushed out of the control tower with a sniper rifle in hand. She took aim at the pilot and struck him in the head, killing him instantly. "Damn it!" the person who was manning the guns shouted, but it was too late for him to do anything. The helicopter instantly took a nosedive and careened toward the control tower. Seeing this, Nicole spun around and ran for her life. Behind her, the helicopter crashed into the glass of the control tower, exploding as it plummeted right into the command center. A wave of heat from the explosion radiated toward Nicola, whose knees gave in as she was rushing out the door. In spite of this, she barely escaped with her life, for she had made it to the hallway just in time. The control room was a mess, with flames dancing and sparks flying all over the place. Nicole coughed as she waved the dust in front of her away. Through the broken walls of the corridor, she then saw more than a dozen choppers heading toward her, with each helicopter mounted with their own heavy machine guns. As soon as they were near the airport, they unleashed a barrage of rounds. "It's impossible for anyone to escape from here. If I stay here and wait for them to land, Carl and his men will all be dead," she thought. "Seems like they've put their resources to good use," she muttered to herself. "It is obvious what their objective is: to kill me and get the crest." Nicole put on her headset, and in a cold tone of voice, she said to Carl, "Get everyone to evacuate through the underground passage. I'll cut around." "How can we do this? You're their target," he yelled. Nicole's eyes narrowed. "It's because they are after me that everyone can get to safety." Carl grew anxious at once. "Are you crazy? I'll call for help right away." Carl then sent a distress signal to Jason and the others. "Even though I have the badge with me right now, nobody will be able to come to my rescue in time. You have to fall back." "I'll be there in 3 minutes," Nicole shouted. Carl gritted his teeth, as he knew that there was truth in Nicole's words. "Our forces at the airport are ill-equipped to deal with so many enemies. It is only by evacuating as soon as possible that we can reduce the number of casualties. Everyone, evacuate and make your way through the underground passage immediately," Carl ordered. Nicole revealed herself as she walked up to the operator's console in the control tower. Near the already damaged and dusty device, she picked the loudspeaker up and yelled, "I really didn't think that there would be such a huge welcome party for me." The loudspeakers echoed across the entire heliport, as the people in the helicopters were taken aback. From behind the entire fleet, the gaze of the man in black darkened. He grabbed his pair of binoculars at once and eyed the control tower. There, in the wreckage, a figure in black tights stood straight, with the strong winds from the helicopters buffeting her hair. Her fair face was covered in dust, and the look in her eyes radiated contempt and confidence. Seeing this, he could not help but be taken aback by her fearless haughtiness. It seems that she is just a high school student, but her presence isn't unlike those of seasoned killers. Nicole. So, who is she? How was she able to deal with so many of my men and steal my crest? I don't understand. She must be extraordinary. As the helicopter approached, the man in the mask grabbed the megaphone, and in an icy tone of voice, he asked, "So, you're the infamous Nicole?" Nicole was able to discover the source of the sound after hearing it. "Damn, so that idiot is hiding in the last helicopter. It'll be too risky at this distance, but I think I'll be able to take him out in one shot. If I can't do that, then I am screwed. I guess I must bring him closer." Nicole grabbed the loudspeaker and walked up to the broken window again. "Yes, it must have taken a lot for all of you to come all the way here in such a grand display just to kill me. I really want to see who this big shot is. He seems pretty ruthless, trying to take a woman out like that." Nicole sarcastically mocked. For a moment, all the subordinates of the man in black snickered. They were not able to keep their faces straight due to the irony and truth in Nicole's words. Indeed, Nicole seemed to be a pretty harmless woman, and to have more than a dozen helicopters equipped with machine guns pointed at her was embarrassing on the part of the man in black. Hearing this, the corner of his lips twitched. Who is this girl to mock me? Does she think that this is what I really want? He thought. Then, he gritted his teeth and sneered back at her. With those beauty and brains, I can tell that you're not some plain Jane on the streets. It's such a pity that you've stolen one of my things. Otherwise, I would have spared you. Anyway, I don't have the time to mess around with you anymore." The man in black was aware of the benefits and privileges granted to those who possessed the crest. Once the signal had been released, one of members of the alliance would definitely come to their aid within 20 minutes. With this in mind, he knew he had to get the job done as soon as possible. In fact, he had only a few minutes left. Nicole glanced at the time, and that was when she realized that only a minute had passed. This guy is just too cautious. Kill her. The man in black ordered with scarlet eyes, relentless and unyielding as he just wanted to kill Nicole and reclaim what was his. "Oh, you wish to kill me? Let's just say, it won't be that easy." Nicole snorted coldly before turning to her watch. "Activate the EMP," she yelled. Nicole had taken advantage of the time she had bought through stalling them by hacking the airport system. With the EMP activated, the helicopters began to lose control, with the machine guns mounted at the side falling off. "Damn it! Sir, we are losing control of the aircraft," his pilot yelled. "Help!" Another shouted. Screams and cries of help blared from the dozens of helicopters who were in the area as they lost control and crashed into the tarmac. "Team 2, fire at will," the man in black ordered. "Let's get this over with. This little girl is a slippery one," he fumed. The choppers that were aiming at the tower desperately tried to shoot at Nicole. However, she was already long gone. It was only after a minute of frenzied gunfire, which soon left the tower in ruins, that the man in black realized that there was nobody coming out from the exit. This made him seethe in rage. She must be in the spiral corridor below the tower, he thought. Fire a missile at the tower directly. "I don't believe that this won't be enough to kill her," the man in black bellowed. Unfortunately for him, he failed to realize that his helicopter was gradually approaching the control tower. Nicole, who was hiding among the ruins, had her sniper set up and had taken aim at his head, ready to pull the trigger at any given moment. Nicole fired her first shot, and when he heard the bang, he subconsciously turned to see a fleeting reflection of him for less than a second. Before he knew it, a bullet whizzed past his ear. "Ahi!" A wave of screams blared out, with the man in black feeling that his eardrums had ruptured from the cacophony. His ears rang, after which he saw a huge splatters of blood everywhere. "Sir!" With the squad leader down, another man rushed over and placed himself between Nicole and the man in black, shielding him. "Damn it!" Nicole cursed, frustrated that she had missed her second shot, with the bullet grazing him by a little. "He is one lucky idiot. 2 shots and none were fatal," she thought in utter disbelief. Nicole had already missed the golden opportunity to assassinate the man in the face mask. As there was not enough time left, she quickly picked the machine gun up before hurrying down the tower and making her way to the underground passage. It's been 3 minutes. Carl and his men should have fled. "I must get out of here," she thought. Concurrently, the man in black pushed his deputy away, and upon seeing the tragic deaths of those who had been working for him, coupled with the bloody wound in his ear, he exploded in a fit of rage. "Damn it! I'll kill you myself, you bitch." Then, he stepped forward and shoved the man holding the machine gun away. "Drive over there. I will kill her myself," he ordered the driver. The driver, who was taken aback for a moment, then did as he was told. The other helicopters were watching the leader's movements, but unfortunately, they could only use the machine gun to aim at the car that Nicole had dashed into. Tut tut tut. Numerous machine guns aimed at Nicole started to shoot in a sweeping motion. As she drove, Nicole's car was under the hail of gunfire as she tried to dodge them. However, when they came to the side of the vehicle, she was seen by the man in the face mask. He aimed directly at the tire and got a clear shot. With a loud bang, the tire of her car exploded and flipped when it arrived at a bend. Nicole took a protective stance, but her body was rolling down with the vehicle. Bang bang bang. After a flurry of loud sounds, Nicole could only feel her ears ringing and her head spinning. "Damn it! It seems that I can't escape," Nicole thought to herself. She exerted herself to support her body but discovered that 2 aircraft had already landed as she tried to gain her bearings. The overturned car was spilling gasoline. Nicole was curled up in the driving seat. Then, she saw a few pairs of legs approaching her while still stuck in the seat. Is it God's will for me to die? It might be true. So many occasions of cheating death, and God has helped me through it enough times. If I am about to repay with my own life today, it was about time, she thought. Yet, Nicole still pulled out a handgun from her thigh. She decided to fight these people to death. Carl was at the entrance of the underground tunnel. He waited and waited, but Nicole still did not come. Finally, he could not wait any longer and did not care about Nicole's orders. He brought the remaining 2 men and drove the car out of the underground tunnel. Just as they came out, they saw a few aircraft that had already landed. A few burly men were walking toward a rolled-over car. Any more thought was unnecessary as, based on the route she took, they knew Nicole's getaway vehicle was turned over. Savages. Carl's eyes immediately turned red, and he drove the car toward her. Then, however, a flurry of sweeping shots suddenly came from the sky. Carl's car was hit in the gas tank, and immediately sparks flew. Boss, the car is about to explode. Both his subordinates shouted out. Then, without much time to think, the guy in the shotgun seat pushed Carl out and jumped out of the car. The other person also flipped out of the vehicle. Carl crashed heavily onto the floor. He stopped just in time to see Nicole in the turned-over vehicle opposite him. She was drenched in blood and holding her handgun, prepared for a showdown to the death. He had seen her escape death so many times, but he had never seen her so flustered. She looked like a caged beast that could only await its slaughter by humans. Nicole. Carl tried to get up and rush toward Nicole. However, a foot suddenly stepped onto Carl. A voice-filled bloodlust came from above. Are you her companion? The young fella from the Terman family. Having seen the picture from the information given, the man in the face mask recognized Carl instantly. Currently, the masked man's ears were in pain. He just wanted to crush Nicole into a paste, including those connected to her. Adding more force to his legs, he was close to stomping Carl's ribcage to pieces. Yet, Carl still only had Nicole in his eyes. He stretched out his arms and crawled toward her. Nicole. Are you okay? Nicole saw Carl being stepped on. Her eyes, dyed red from the blood, immediately turned bloodshot. You let go of him. Carl had almost died for her in the past. But this time, she would not let him suffer, regardless of what happens. Let him go? All right, the man in the face mask growled cruelly. Then, he lifted his leg and directly kicked Carl's chin. Carl immediately saw stars after being kicked. The guy was a trained professional. The kick made his vision go dark. Bastard. Nicole raised her handgun in resentment and fired at the man. However, the man in the face mask also took out a pistol and aimed it at Carl. Shoot then. Let's see who dies first. Nicole immediately stopped. She could not allow Carl to die again. She had already experienced the feeling of losing a comrade. She would rather die herself than have that feeling again. Are you unwilling? Is he your boy toy? The man in the face mask laughed maniacally. If it's this way, I'm even more interested in killing him. As he said this, he reloaded the gun. You dare. If he dies, you won't get the crest. Nicole slowly crawled out of the car. She simply tossed the handgun and opened her watch. In front of everyone, the hologram of the crest appeared floating. Seeing it, the man was stunned. When this thing was in his hands, it was merely a black screen that could not be opened. He did not expect the crest to be so dazzling after Nicole cracked it. Yet, when he saw it, his gaze quickly turned greedy. Give it to me. The man in the face mask roared with his eyes glinting with the desire for power. Instead, Nicole held out her hand to touch a button on the watch. If I can crack it with my own hands, it means I can destroy it myself. You dare. The man in the face mask growled in anger. Then, he saw Nicole motioning to press the button. A cold sweat broke from his forehead. He had already checked before. Nicole's background was complex, hence the item had fallen into her hands. This is due to her being the most excellent hacker in the world, Lucifer. If she genuinely had been prepared earlier, making the program to destroy the crest would not be impossible. But then, it would be useless even if they killed Nicole. No one knew where the second crest of the world was located. I'm only giving you 10 seconds. Let him go. Nicole gritted her teeth. Blood flowed from her forehead to the corner of her eyes, but her eyes would not blink. She was ready to die at any moment. Nicole, I'm not leaving. Worst case possible, he will die together with Nicole. How could he possibly dump her here all alone? 10, 9, 8. Nicole was already in a rage. She did not want to give the man in the face mask more time to consider. 7, 6, 5, 4. Nicole continued to count. Enough. The man in the face mask could not resist any longer. He saw that Nicole's expression was ruthless. He knew she was serious and could only grind his teeth and let go of the leg stomping on Carl. Let them go. He ordered out loud and withdrew his handgun. Since his target from the start was no other than Nicole. When he gets hold of the crest, the whole Spears organization would be worthless to him. By then, he would not let go of every single one of them. Thinking about this, he suppressed his anger. Carrie's 2 other subordinates that jumped out of the car were also severely injured. Once they were let go, they immediately rushed to Carl screaming, "Boss!" They wanted to fight back, but they had no weapons on them. So now, they could only look at Nicole in pain and thank her for saving their lives. Bring Carl away. Nicole yelled angrily. Although both have their own concerns, they know Nicole did it to let Carl stay alive. They could not allow her sacrifice to go to waste. Thinking of this, both of them held onto Carl. Carl finally found his strength and tried to struggle. You all should let me go. I can't leave her. Nicole stared at Carl. It was the first time she had seen him this hysterical. She understood that feeling. It was the same as when he almost disappeared from her life. That feeling of suffocation. Although she always acted as if nothing had happened, she could not suffer the same pain again. Staring at Carl, Nicole's gaze hardened. Carl, this time, I can finally protect you. She smiled as the blood trail left on her face continued to trickle. It hurt Carl's eyes and made his eyes red. I don't need your protection. I just wanted you to live. You idiot. He screamed out. Boss, you need to calm down. Don't let Nicole's sacrifice be in vain. Both subordinates who held on to him almost lost their grip and could only growl. No, I can't lose her. Carl gazed at Nicole. Seeing her farther away, he could not go against his heart and said, I love her. Carrie's confession made his subordinates stunned. Their hearts were filled with anguish. They did not know Carl and Nicole had this kind of relationship. Nicole's iris shrunk as she thought, Carl actually loved me. Although she had felt it, she was not sure. A smile tugged at the corner of her lips. She only wanted to leave him with a smile. This made Carl, who was being dragged away, heartbroken. Nicole, I love you. You can't die. He struggled hard, but his voice was getting further away. When a gun was pointed at him, he was brought by his subordinates into a vehicle and left. The man in the face mask watched the car leave, then walked in front of Nicole coldly. Who could have expected that the young fella actually liked you? However, you do look quite charming. Nicole was such a beautiful and capable woman that the world had never seen. If she had not snatched the crest, he might have fancied her. Being stared creepily by him, Nicole could only feel disgusted. Her gaze turned ruthless. All right, the men have been let go. You should pass me the thing now. The man in the face mask's expression was dark. His eyes always focused on the hand pressing the button on her watch. As long as you give up that thing, I can leave you with your corpse intact. The corner of the masked man's lips twitched upwards as if saying with great mercy. Then I should truly thank you, Nicole huffed coldly. But, she continued, I can die, but you should let me die a knowing person. Who the hell are you? The tiny camera lens captured everything when she pressed the recording button on her watch. Even if she died, she would leave some clues for the others. The man in the face mask's gaze immediately became deeper and thought, "This woman is too smart. I will not give her any chances. You want to know who I am? Ask Hades yourself." His eyes were quickly filled with the intent to kill. He lifted the gun and shot at Nicole. Yet, a smile came from the corner of Nicole's lips. "Since you wouldn't say it, then don't blame me for this." "No." The man in the face mask saw that she was about to press the button. Before he could react with the gun in his hand, he motioned to press the trigger. "Die with me then," Nicole said as she currently had her eyes shut. Since she could not identify him clearly, she would have them all perish together. The man in the face mask had found out then that Nicole's watch was blinking fast. "It was just like a time bomb. Wench, I'll kill you first," he screamed. Bang! A single sound of gunfire erupted. Nicole had assumed that she was done for. However, she actually did not feel pain after a few seconds. Instead, the shriek of the man in the face mask floated to her ears. "Ah!" Nicole slowly opened her eyes. A high-powered machine gun shattered everything below the man in the face mask's wrist, leaving only a broken hand. "Someone is ambushing us," the man in the face mask's second-in-command shouted.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.